Hi, this is John again. This is my Lab 19, the BLE lab from the TI-RSLK, the Robotic System Learning Kit from TI. This is all for the road test I'm doing for element 14. And in this one, we've added the BLE module on top here. This is a CC2650 module that came with the, this is part of the extended kit. So this is not part of the basic kit. This is an extra piece, the add-on kit that you have to make it into basically an advanced kit. So they had three different versions. They have a basic kit, advanced kit, and then the upgrade kit, I guess is what it's for. And that included the sharp sensors, BLE, Wi-Fi, and the encoders for the motors. So we have all that. Next one would be for the Wi-Fi. So this is just for the Bluetooth BLE. So what they have is they have it already created. They created some examples, this application processor example, which is pretty good. So what I've done is borrowed this and ran through this to make sure everything was working, and then I've pretty much borrowed what they're doing here. They're adding characteristics based on these functions up here. These functions are waiting for data, and when for this particular one, for the word data, they're actually sending out for the LEDs, and then they have a couple for the buttons, and then also another one if you just want to look at the buttons when they're this way. This is for these two buttons. If you go down here, these are add notify characteristics for the buttons, so you can sit and loop and see when the button's happening. So that's when an event happens. Could have used that for the sensors or for some other things, but time-wise, kind of running short. Kind of want to get this done, so I've added that. But for what I've done, let me see, go back over here. So they have this AP library that they put together. So they've done most of the work. And for this, you can use this for the Bluetooth module. So that sets up for a lot of the characteristics and the goodies for that. And they do shape of the world. This looks like something that came from the MOOCs. So they have this, but you actually, the part of the lab, any part of the lab, is supposed to go in and give it new device names and characteristics. So I changed it to Jackie the Robot. So that's how it's going to be identified. And then the advertisement will same thing for Jackie the Robot. And so you had to go in and create these and add the code for that. I think there was 3 sections you had to add, but they have the init that goes through here. It's adding, it sets up for the BLE, for the send message response. So this whole library basically is to get the BLE working and get it up and functional so you can utilize it, and then add characteristics. So in my lab 19, so for my right word, what I did, I included for the motor movement, I've added my motor movement code that I had from the previous lab, and so I'm using the same table here. So the struct table that I had earlier, and so I'm just going through this and parsing through. So when I get something comes through BLE on the right characteristic, then right handle, then it's going to go through and process it here. So it'll run through this, and it runs the function pointer from the table based on how it's being passed in. So that's what I've done with that, and then I've kept the buttons just for have those. I could have used the sharp sensors or something like that, or maybe the encoders. That probably would have been good, but running out of time. And then in my main, I just kind of have it set up similar to their application processor. Just added some changes and then added my code for identifying that. So they're using the UART, and then so let's see if we can get this thing up and running. So I'll bring up, so there's a putty window for the console, and then I added one so we can go through and run some commands with this. So go ahead and clear that out. So if we turn this on, so you see in the console over here, so it spitted out some information Let's see if it starts up here. So this is what we seen earlier. So I have it set up for solution application processor. It resets the 2650. Then it goes through and it sets up. It checks the status and then adds characteristics. So it sets the advertisement and sets the status, and then it sits here. So it's waiting for events to happen. And then if you notice on the display that I have over here, so I'm also using the Nokia display, so I have it to where it's showing the position for the motor, whether it's going forward, left, right, and then the button states as well. So what we can do is we can, using a Raspberry Pi with blues up here, and can we make this a little bigger? Maybe. We'll go over some of the other stuff, but that's okay. So what I can do, I should go here, connect to it. I think primary. So you can see the primary characteristics that are set up here, the different handles. These are all for names, for the device name and stuff like that. And then did I spell it right? So, and if we list the characteristics, we can see all the characteristics that were set up, that were set over here. The ones we're really interested in for this one are the ones that are out on the end here, like the 1 through 5 basically are the ones that are interesting. So 3, the 24 handle will be for setting the speeds, and then this handle here is actually 28 would be the next one. This one you can read it. 28 will be utilized for button 1, and then 2C will be used for button 2. And so let me see what I can do with this. Let me exit out to save time. I've already kind of gone through some stuff. So if we can listen, say for button 1, we can set this thing up to listen for button 1, and then you see it should start. Basically, it polls for that. And then if I don't mess this thing up, so many wires. I gotta try to find the button. If I hit the button, so the button turns 1, and it should, the button state turns 1. The notify over there. If I release it, it should go back to 0. So that's button 1. And then we have to do it again for, well, to turn this off. Set it to 0. That'll turn off. So there's another thing I found. So if I set this, I found some information on the web. So if I set this to 3, 1 is notify, and then 1 is for something else. So if I set it to 3, it gives me my notify, and then it'll spit out this information here so you can read it. And so if we change this handle to C, we should get button 2 on the other side. And so the button's 1, it turns off. If I go push it again, and then there's that. Okay, so that's good for that. So these could be utilized for notifying, say, for like the encoders or an event for the IR sensors or something like that. Let me go turn this off. And so the other thing I did was implement for the motors. So it keeps doing that. So that should set the motor forward. So it should be going forward. And if we do this, this should stop. And we should see that on this display. Yep, stop. And then if we go 2, it should go backwards. So it should be going back. And then 3, like left. And then 4, right. Like faster speed, slower, but it's not really working right. I have some other issues with this thing to where it's not clocking right. So we can go ahead and turn that back off, turn it back on. So this could all be set up on some sort of probably web interface or something like that, running Python. I do have some scripts that I have. Let's see. How do you want to see? I wrote. This script I wrote, it just goes out and scans for BLE devices, and it'll tell you what it found, and it'll spit out some information as far as the characteristics. So there's the characteristics what you set up. Jackie the robot, not quite sure. I think I have something set up as far as the number of characters wrong. That's why it's getting extra characters. So there's our there's the address that was coming up. That's what I've been using here. And then this is the name, Jackie the robot. Probably should have shown that first, but oh well. And then if let me see, I have another one. History. I have it over here somewhere. Yeah, so I set up this other one to get information. I set up a table for this, basically a dictionary with this ID and then the address for that, and then I can go and look at some of the characteristics that are out there. And if we scrolled way up, see if it's still there. Some of these primary ones, you could probably look at one or two or something like that. See if there's anything interesting. Nothing. I know there was another one, maybe 10 or 12. We're going to put more zeros on there. Oops. Oh well. Could have swore there's some more interesting things on here, but I guess not. Just getting garbage. Oh, there we go. It's on the evens. So the firmware revision, hardware revision, that kind of information is stuff that you can get out of here. Let's see what else they have. Set software revision. So the different handles you can get for you can have this set up for the hardware revision, for the firmware revision. These are just the headings, so you probably have to go to the next one. And my computer locked up. Yeah, my computer locked up, so I'm not quite sure what happened there, but I'm going to end this right now, and hopefully it didn't record anything bad. So that's it. That's my Lab 19, and there you go.